For decades, the world watched one of the most famous actors on earth chase a single golden statue. He had the talent critics worshipped, the box office power studios dreamed of, and the dedication that pushed his body and mind to unimaginable extremes. Yet year after year, the moment passed him by. The Academy applauded others while his name stayed uncalled, turning a serious artistic pursuit into a global joke. Memes spread faster than praise, and the narrative grew larger than his career itself. But the real story of Leonardo DiCaprio isn't about awards or red carpets. It's about a boy who grew up in chaos, a promise made to his mother, and the relentless hunger to prove he deserved a place in a world that rarely welcomed him. To understand the man behind the fame, we must start long before the cameras arrived. Growing up in the shadows of Hollywood, before fame ever found him, Leonardo DiCaprio was just a child growing up in one of the roughest parts of Los Angeles. East Hollywood during the 1970s and 1980s was far from the glamorous image the world imagined. Drug deals happened on street corners, sirens filled the nights, and poverty was part of everyday life. Leonardo lived with his mother in a small apartment near Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue. Money was always tight, and safety often felt uncertain. As a child, he witnessed scenes that many adults would struggle to process. Despite the environment around him, something important was forming inside him. Instead of becoming bitter, he developed a fierce determination to escape the cycle surrounding him. The streets showed him how fragile security could be and how quickly life could change. Those early experiences shaped the emotional depth that would later define his acting career. A mother's sacrifice and an unbreakable bond. The strongest influence in Leonardo's life was his mother, Ermeline DiCaprio. She was not a Hollywood insider or wealthy supporter of a future star. She was simply a hardworking single parent doing everything she could to give her son a better life. Ermeline worked multiple jobs just to keep food on the table and rent paid. She traveled across the city with young Leonardo for auditions, often taking several buses because they could not afford anything easier. Waiting rooms filled with hopeful children and exhausted parents became part of their routine. Through every rejection, she remained encouraging and calm, reminding him that each failure was simply another step forward. Her belief in him created a powerful sense of responsibility inside Leonardo. He didn't just want success for himself, he wanted to repay the sacrifices she made. That promise to lift his mother out of hardship became one of the deepest motivations of his life. A difficult childhood. In school and society, school was not an easy place for Leonardo. Teachers recognized that he was intelligent, curious, and quick-witted, but they also saw a restless energy that often turned into disruption. Sitting quietly in classrooms felt impossible for a boy who had grown up navigating unpredictable streets. He was frequently labeled a troublemaker, even though the reality was more complicated. Leonardo felt out of place among classmates who came from more stable homes and comfortable neighborhoods. His clothing, his address, and even his daily struggles made him feel different. Some days he arrived without lunch, and embarrassment followed him through hallways. Yet these challenges strengthened his resilience. By the age of 10, he had already realized that life rarely rewarded patience or fairness. If he wanted a better future, he would need to pursue it aggressively. This understanding created the relentless work ethic that later defined his acting career. Early rejections and the harsh reality of auditions. Leonardo began auditioning professionally at a very young age. His mother believed acting might offer opportunities that traditional paths could not. But the early years were filled with rejection. Casting directors rarely saw potential in a scruffy kid from a tough neighborhood. Waiting rooms were filled with children who looked more polished and connected. Leonardo heard the phrase, "We'll call you," countless times, even though calls rarely came. For 3 years, auditions led mostly to disappointment. Yet instead of quitting, he continued returning again and again. The resilience he had learned from his mother helped him endure the constant setbacks. Every rejection slowly built thicker emotional armor. He realized that success in the entertainment industry required persistence far beyond talent. The experience also taught him that failure was not personal. It was simply part of the process. That mindset would later help him survive much bigger challenges in Hollywood. The first breakthrough: television. Eventually, small opportunities began to appear. Leonardo landed minor television roles, including appearances on Parenthood and Santa Barbara. These jobs paid modestly, but helped him gain experience in front of the camera. The real breakthrough came when he joined the popular sitcom Growing Pains. Playing Luke Brower, a troubled homeless teenager adopted by a suburban family, gave Leonardo regular exposure to millions of viewers. Suddenly, he was receiving fan mail and recognition. But the success came with a new fear. Television fame often trapped actors in predictable roles. Leonardo worried that he would forever be seen as a harmless sitcom character instead of a serious performer. Even while the show was airing, he continued auditioning for films, hoping to prove he could handle more complex roles. The determination to escape the TV actor label became another powerful motivation in his early career. A breakthrough film and acting alongside legends. Leonardo's transition to serious film acting began with This Boy's Life, where he starred opposite Robert De Niro. For an inexperienced young actor, sharing scenes with such a legendary performer was intimidating. Leonardo admitted later that he felt terrified during filming. However, the fear pushed him to perform with incredible intensity. Drawing from his own childhood struggles, he brought emotional authenticity to the character. Critics quickly noticed the performance and praised his ability to hold his own beside De Niro. The film proved that he was far more than a television personality. It opened the door to more challenging roles and introduced him to filmmakers who valued serious acting. For Leonardo, it was the first real sign that his dream might be achievable. The industry was finally beginning to see him not as a child star, but as a genuine actor. Fame explodes with a global phenomenon. Everything changed when Leonardo starred in Titanic, directed by James Cameron. The film became one of the biggest cinematic events in history, earning billions worldwide and dominating the Academy Awards. Overnight, Leonardo transformed from a respected young actor into a global superstar. His character Jack Dawson became a cultural icon, adored by millions around the world. Fans crowded airports, hotels, and public spaces just to catch a glimpse of him. While many actors dream of such fame, Leonardo soon realized its darker side. The intense attention stripped away his privacy and reduced his identity to a romantic heartthrob image. Critics and filmmakers began overlooking his serious acting abilities, seeing only the charming face from a blockbuster love story. The success that made him famous also created a new challenge, proving he was far more than the role that made him a household name. Fighting to be taken seriously. Again after Titanic, Leonardo faced a difficult period of career uncertainty. Some of his projects struggled critically and commercially, making Hollywood question whether he could escape the shadow of his most famous role. The turning point came when he began collaborating with legendary director Martin Scorsese. Films like Gangs of New York and The Aviator allowed Leonardo to explore darker, more complex characters. Working with Scorsese pushed him beyond his comfort zone and helped reshape his reputation as a serious, dramatic actor. Critics praised his performances, and he received another Oscar nomination. Yet the award still remained out of reach. Each loss deepened the narrative that the Academy refused to recognize him. The Oscar curse slowly became a cultural joke, but behind the humor was an actor still chasing validation for the craft he loved.